The rates that we see sexual assaults happening are staggering. The timely warnings that students get, I can't even give you what small of a percentage it is of what's actually occurring at Cal Poly. In my office right now, between Christina and I, we see about 3 to 5 students a day this quarter. And some of those were past assaults that they maybe happened in high school or maybe a couple years ago, but some of them are extremely recent.
The summer before my junior year, I was sexually assaulted by somebody I knew in my own home, who was my friend at the time. I couldn't define it. I didn't know how wrong it was. I felt how wrong it was. If we created an environment where sexual assault victims were looked at as sexual assault survivors, or we talked about sexual assault the way we talk about other crimes, that would be easier to report. People confess they were sexually assaulted, but we only call it confess because we make it something to hide in the first place. People don't have a hard time reporting robberies or being mugged or being jumped. People very easily say, hey, I was jumped in an alley, someone stole my wallet, and this is what needs to be done, can you help me, to the police. And the police would never say, like, what are you doing in an alley with your wallet out? Don't you know better? We never blame the victim unless it's sexual assault. They've already had so much agency and security stripped from them physically. Who are we as a culture to take more power away from them by asking them what they were doing there in the first place? I thought, to be raped, it had to be someone you didn't know in the back alley and you had to be hit in the head with a bat. Had I known that it could be someone you knew in your own bedroom, I would have done something.
Sexual assault, I think what people don't always understand is an umbrella term. I think a lot of times we think sexual assault and we automatically think rape, which is huge and traumatic and terrible, but sexual assault is also more than that. That's also street harassment. That's someone touching you when you don't want to. That's people using uncomfortable language sexually about you in the workplace. And when you really fold all that into it, I'm sure it's a lot higher what those statistics look like, whether people define themselves as having, that's what happened to them or not.
There's just no way that the average student would have a perception of how many are happening outside of the timely warnings that students receive. So there's a couple of mandates in place of crime reporting mandates that certain employees and people at the university have to report when they're made aware of it. And so that's called a Clery report. A lot of times in these timely warnings we hear about a particular campus organization that's affiliated with it. So that is because the crime occurred either on campus, and then that assault also occurred at a university-affiliated house. The university essentially owns that property, so they're still responsible for it. But not every sexual assault falls into that category, because not every assault happens at a university-controlled location.
Now, 3 blocks off campus is not within our Clery geography. The only things off campus that we would report for are in the Greek housing, because of their affiliation with the campus. If it was reported to us that it happened in a house on Hathaway, then we would not be putting a timely warning out on that. So if they are no longer recognized by the campus, that's a private home, basically. And that is not mandated by the Clery report to then be reported.
Big, broad description of what RISE's purpose is to provide services for anyone who's been affected by intimate partner violence or sexual assault. And it's something that I know that's so scary that people don't want to believe that's what's happening. We see a lot of clients, probably more than anyone would like to believe, living in the happiest place on earth. We had over 300 clients in counseling last year. That was just for sexual assault, not even the entire program. Thousands of crisis calls on our line each year, and that's coming in during office hours and after hours as well, because our line runs 24/7. You don't get a lot of people who have recently been assaulted in counseling. Usually it's something that happens months, even years. It is one of the most underreported crimes out there. So we obviously see more people here because it's confidential services. We're not forcing people to report. But even then, we don't see everybody.
When the university is made aware of it, extremely responsive. Not only I feel like, because we have our systems in place, but Title IX requires it. .99% of the time, Title IX involves SAFER, just to make sure that the student is being taken care of from that emotional side, getting the resources they need, all of that. Law enforcement will also include us as well.
Several things that will happen if someone informs us that they want to report a sexual assault. First and foremost, our primary concern is always the health and safety of the individual reporting the crime. So the first thing we do is make sure that they're safe, they're in a safe place, that if they need medical attention, and we make sure we get them to a hospital. They have several options. It can be they can report it and ask to have a criminal investigation done with the prosecution of the individual. They can report it to us and just, but then tell us they don't want a criminal investigation, they just want us to know. They can not report at all. Sometimes people will tell us they just want us to know about the incident that had occurred and then possibly ask for services.
I'd say one of the biggest things that we all can do is just have a better understanding of it. Again, it's a gross topic. It's scary, it's disturbing, and that's why a lot of people don't talk about it. But when you don't talk about it, when you have silence around it, a lot of people interpret that as shame.
So what we're trying to do besides create awareness and foster education is also to put faces to statistics so that people realize, just because you're not a girl doesn't mean that it won't impact you. We're trying to make those people who are already aware feel more connected, feel like it is their problem, it is relevant, it should matter to everybody, no matter what their circumstances are.
It really shouldn't feel weird or awkward to talk about a subject that a lot of people are affected by, and we really hope that we can make a difference and get people talking.